But I forgot to switch it to my new one. Hold on, I'll
What?
play
Hey,
it.
whoa, hold on. What is your new one?
Who's that wonderful girl? Could she be any cuter?
Jesus Christ. I really hope I started stream, so I really hope that made it in. God damn.
It better.
Oh my god. Wow. Okay.
What a way to start a new gen.
Woohoo. Oh, November. Am I right?
What? Do you
Is this
guys
water
got
or
snow?
vodka?
We don't know.
The world may never know. We did get snow on Halloween. The most hallowed
Is it
of
still in the
weens.
ground? The most hallowed of weens.
The most hallowed of weens, and we did get snow. It was disgusting.
We
yesterday.
did too. It's disgusting, she said.
It was. It was gross. It was more slush and shit than actual snow.
Oh, that's not fun.
No, so like there was like a huge like 20 car pileup or something in town. No.
Oh, no.
That checkpoint. No. Well, I don't know if this is the same way where you live in Ashley. I don't think you guys necessarily like. I mean, I know there's ice down there, but I don't know if it's necessarily as bad as like what we deal with. But whenever the first snow hits, it's like people forget how to drive in it.
100%.
And it's like, why? Like, it's not even like it's been that long since we had snow before. Like, just, oh.
Yeah, we got snow here too.
Okay. See, you guys end up with more of like a dry cold, which was nice when I was down there. Here, it's like we get the like bone chilling where it's like super wet and disgusting, and I hate it. It's all because of that damn lake. Stupid lake. Oh my god.
Why would you blame the lake?
Because it's her fault.
Why do you hate her? She is beautiful. Why are you tearing a queen down?
She's beautiful, but goddamn. Also, I see Katie in the chat. You just got back from watching the FNAF movie. I'm going to see it this weekend. I'm going to see it this weekend. We're not spoiling things. I sent Lurie my list of.
You made the list, and I'm grinning, but I can't say shit.
I added a couple things to the list. Maybe one or two things to the list. Okay. I added that the cupcake is the most violent animatronic. I think that would be hilarious. Also, incredibly appropriate. And then there has to be some sort of Saw reference because it's Matthew Lillard. So I thought that
he's
was
also in Scream.
Oh, never mind. It's not Saw. It's Scream. That's right. Yeah. That's what I meant to put on there.
He's the Scream King.
That's what I meant. It's Scream. No, I'm gonna go see it this weekend. So I'm really, really excited. I'm hoping that means that I'll send you. Lurie and I have done this thing for the past we did it with No Way Home, and then we're gonna do it with this one. Where you end up seeing it first, and I make a checklist, and then I go to the movie and I'm like, all right, let me just check things off my list that I hope are in this film, and I think I got a 78% on No Way Home, which was hilarious.
And I'm not going to tell you what percentage you got for yours because that I feel like that spoils half of the fun.
No, it definitely
it's I'm keeping my mouth shut. But the only thing I will say is it's a good movie. It's not bad.
Okay.
It's not beautiful, it's not great, but it's not bad either. If you're a fan, you will enjoy it.
I don't know. It's mixed feelings. I'm not gonna spoil anything. I mean, it's cool to see. I will say it's cool to see the animatronics actually physical form, other than
right.
Which is great. The movie is more of a novelty more than anything.
Oh, I'm sure.
Something. It's not. And I already knew going in that it probably wasn't going to be scary because you can't make goofy looking animatronics frightening.
But it's also PG-13, so how scary is it gonna be?
Well, also, and they have that rule with horror movies where you can't show children being fatally harmed.
Oh, right.
Like, on screen. So, and since that's what the whole lore revolves around, I knew that they weren't.
Oh, yeah. No, I kind of figured, just because of, like, what you can and can't show and all that kind of stuff, I'm like, all right, so if they do any kind of, like, backstory deep dive into the lore, it's gonna be something where, like, okay, like, obviously I haven't seen it, but for example, a thing that I think would work is you could show the kids being lured off by the man in the golden rabbit suit, you know, like, that's a thing that you could do. You could show, like, I know there's a scene in the trailer with, like, the 4 or 5 kids that go running off into the, like, that's definitely like a ghost kids, you know, there's some kind of communing with spirits thing going on there. That's an easy way to do it. The one scene that I don't even, this isn't even a spoiler, is there's a scene that I saw that someone shared that was a really, really good transition where it's like there's a kid standing in Pirate Cove and then he backs into the shadows and then Foxy comes out and I'm like, yes, yes, you know, like, it's just, and all that is a simple fade to black. That's all that is. And I'm like, that's perfect, you know, like, that's just the kind of shit you need to, you know, to make it work. You don't have to, like, one of the things that I think has been kind of bothering me a little bit was some of the, like, critical, like, I've seen, like, a couple, like, critics say things without spoilers, and it kind of drives me crazy when, like, for every other horror film ever, critics are like, oh my god, jump scares are so cheap, I can't believe they put so many jump scares in this horror movie. And then the FNAF movie comes out and they're like, where are all my jump scares? It's like, it's not, if I wanted jump scares, I'd go play the game.
Right. Well, and one thing too that people forget when they're watching a movie is, let's be real. If you saw this stuff in real life coming after you, you would be terrified.
Oh, exactly.
It's not, like, just because it's not scary in the movie, like, just because you don't perceive it as scary doesn't mean it wouldn't be in life. I mean, you got to connect it to that, but people forget to do that. But yeah, it with how do I put this? So, like, again, without spoiling anything. This, if I wasn't a FNAF fan and I went and watched this movie, I wouldn't know what the hell this is. You know what I mean? Like, I will say that's my one critique, is that Scott banked on just fans of the games watching this, which, you know, great. And
he won.
It doesn't.
He won.
It doesn't bring anybody new.
No.
Yeah.
You know,
and it's really not.
Be like, what the hell is this? Like,
I've heard varying opinions on that. There's some people that are like, I'm not familiar with the games, I had no clue, and it was confusing. And then there's some people that are like, even though I didn't know the games, I thought it was still a really fun movie. So, like, I just think there's such an interesting dichotomy of, like, people that liked it versus people that didn't, and why they liked it versus why they didn't. And I'm just excited. Like, this is something that, like, personally, I've been waiting, like, what, 8 years for?
Yeah, when it was announced.
Right. So, I think that the fact that Henson Studios did the animatronics, that's wonderful. You know, and regardless of whether or not they are quote unquote scary, think about there's like a rule in horror that, this is such a weird thing too, is like showing the monster in a horror film. If you show the monster, people are like, oh, why did we get to see the monster? It's not that scary. You know, like, you know, somehow looking at it kind of makes you less afraid of it if you see what it actually is. Versus, like, okay, but if you don't show the monster, then people are like, well, where's the monster? You know? So, and obviously in a film with the animatronics like that, like, I think people are
monsters.
Right. But I think people are very quick to forget that it's the whole entire thing is based on, like, just your generic Chuck E. Cheese restaurant. And like, you can't tell me that some of those early Chuck E. Cheese and Showbiz animatronics aren't terrifying.
Yeah,
have you guys seen the Showbiz Pizza Bear? Have you looked at the Showbiz Pizza Bear? That is a fiend. That is not a friend. That is a fiend. So like I have no problem with them not looking terrifying. Now, if we were to get an adaptation of the fourth movie or like Sister Location, where things start to get really like weird and terrifying, then yes, I would absolutely, like, if they didn't make the animatronics scary, I'd be like, okay, maybe you need to rework something here.
The second film is already in pre-production.
I heard that. I'm kind of hoping that it's...
Honestly, I should say so. They made what, like 70 million?
Yeah, it's
that's pre-sales, yeah. But it beat Mario. The Mario movie came out this year. It beat out Mario in its first weekend. Like,
that's
as
amazing.
Opening weekend, it beat out Mario's like score. And it's also the biggest horror opening of all time.
That's incredible.
And that is solely Scott Cawthon banking on the fandom for doing that.
The fandom came out.
The Mario has been around longer since all of us have been alive.
Right.
And yet it did not make that much.
Yeah.
In the first weekend.
Damn, Scott.
And that is saying something.
No, that's absolutely incredible.
It's awesome because, like, it's a freaking. I'm not like a diehard fan for FNAF, but I do respect it for being an indie video game.
Oh, absolutely.
This was just some dude 10 years ago was told, your 3D models are too creepy, I'm firing you.
Yep.
And then he took that, invented it out, and just made a really easy click and play video game where most of the graphics aren't even full rendered, they're just images.
And that is
the most bare bone easiest you could do. Now he has a movie that beat out Mario.
That is
the concept he made out of venting. And I think that's the
fuck you.
Shit.
And it is the ultimate fuck you to the people that fired him.
Oh yeah.
But God, like I definitely, because like I started by watching Mark playing it, and then like I played it a little myself. But I really didn't get like in it until like the third game. And I was like, this is neat. But it was the fourth game that I was like, okay, now there's starting to be actual legitimate, like a story here, as opposed to just creepy Chuck E. Cheese. So I'm really hoping, and I know Matthew Lillard said that he's been signed on for a 3-movie deal. Now, I think that it would kind of be interesting if they went from, like, because there's so many games, and at this point, let's say we're only getting 3 movies. Where do you go from here? Do you do what the games did and backtrack and do number 2? Or does that feel like a waste? Like, or do you move on and do like a combination of maybe there's some flashbacks from the second game?
I can't say exactly like what's in the game, in the movie.
Yeah, because it's gonna be a spoiler.
Spoilers. So like, I kind of know how they can move forward and what they probably plan on doing. Because if they probably do have it set on it being a trilogy.
Yeah.
And they probably want to follow the original lore.
Right.
Where at the end of, I think maybe like they could even possibly like have it end the similar way like FNAF 6. If I recall correctly.
Okay, see that's
like I'm curious.
Yeah.
I'm again trying not to spoil it.
Yeah.
But how can they do that when the movie doesn't doesn't work? Like, that's all I'm gonna say. Like, going by the games, it doesn't work. Like,
see, so not going and not having seen this and just thinking about what my ideal trilogy would be based on what we've been given from the games versus what I think might happen in this film is you could potentially do a pretty satisfying story where, let's just say, and obviously you guys know if this is how it ends, and I don't, is ideally, if I walk into this going, okay, Matthew Lillard's character is William Afton, we get Springtrap, we get the Springlock suit, like that would be my ideal end. It's like, all right, you end this with, yay, we got the bad guy, we killed William Afton, and that kind of thing. And in my personal canon, and I know there is some truth to this in the books, but not or books and games, but he gets boarded up in the walls at the old pizzeria. And then that's where, like, in the third game, like, they find that golden suit and they pull it out.
Right.
So if you end this one, like, hypothetically, if you end the first one with the Springlock incident and William being boarded up in the walls, then you could feasibly kind of skip game 2. Like, you could show some stuff from, like, the bite of 87 and all that kind of whatever. But I go right to the third game, because that's your next installment with Mike and Springtrap. So you could do, the first game which actually has some elements of, I would think, might have some elements of the 8-bit. Oh god, Gallagher. I was trying to talk to a ghost. I'm gonna go see it this weekend.
Okay, good.
I'm gonna go see it this weekend. Yeah. So hypothetically, if you incorporate some stuff from, like, the 8-bit cutscenes and everything into this particular movie, which I would hope that they would, because that's such a big part of the story, is you could then feasibly go right to movie 2 is game 3 and follow that pretty consistently. And then your third movie is, like Lurie said, the pizzeria simulator, where the end of that is where they trap everybody in the pizzeria and burn the thing to the ground.
Burn it to the ground, and it's Henry.
Yes,
that gives the final message. That I think it's Henry doing that.
It is, yeah, it's Henry.
Yeah. Which, honestly, cinematically, that would be really sexy of them.
I know.
Yeah, I agree.
It would be a little weird to get to that point without sister location, though, and that's my only thing. Is like, where could you fit that in? Do you merge that with game 3? Because you might be able to do that if you kind of pick and choose.
So if they did sister location, they would have to backtrack.
Right.
I would think. Because, so it'd have to be a prequel, not a...
See, and would that make sense? Because I'm gonna go out on a limb, and you guys can confirm this if you like. I don't think this is necessarily a spoiler, because this is just how I write it or I see it versus like how literally everybody else probably sees it. Is I don't think they're going to do the reveal where like Mike is an animatronic. I don't think that that's going to be a thing. As much as I would love it to be, because that's kind of how that's how the games are anyway. I just feel like that might not be like pleasing to an audience that doesn't exactly know what's going on. Because you have a suspension of belief in a sense, because that's kind of what you are supposed to have when you walk into a movie. But that is one of those really, really out there things in FNAF that I'm like, I just don't think that they would go that far.
All I can really say is he bleeds.
Okay, so then, yeah. So then I'm probably right in that regard.
So, speaking of FNAF, have you guys watched MatPat's game theory? Full FNAF timeline? I have not. I stopped watching MatPat when he started to do all of the books and stuff, because at that point I hadn't really read the books, and I was like,
this is a little out there.
Well, here's the thing. So since you probably watched him, so
yeah,
his game theory, he does in the timeline. He does include some of the book content because even Scott said
right,
it's part of the same universe, but it's not part of the actual canon story. So there's still like little tidbits of like like ghost lore and whatever, but nothing concrete.
Which absolutely makes sense because you can't. I mean, the guy started this out because like he didn't expect that this was going to be a hit. There's not a chance in hell that he expected this to be as big as it is. So why would you walk into something with pre-established lore? Like you wouldn't. So I know some people have been like really hard on him for that over the years. Like, oh, why this is really confusing. Well, I mean, it's kind of because he's had to fly by the seat of his pants on some of it, like, and then go back and like make alterations and stuff. Like you can't. This franchise has been around for a decade, so it's hard to kind of get all that in something cohesive too. I mean, even Marvel just now put out like a book that was like the timeline, the MCU, which retcons some major stuff, like when Homecoming took place and all that kind of thing. So it's, if they've been at it for that same amount of time, basically, and don't have their shit together, then I can't blame one man.
Right. Well, I mean, like, so the timeline that I watched, it, covers the VR, also Security Breach.
Yeah.
And everything.
Yeah.
And he's not, in the theories that he lays out or the timeline, he's not the only one, only game theory person with these, with this timeline idea. But yeah, you should check it out. But there's some really interesting twists, like, that he's got in mind in,
okay. Is that that's his most recent timeline video? Because I think the last timeline video I watched was like, and this is gonna date me so bad, is like probably after Pizzeria Sim came out, and the moment he mentioned like, oh yeah, so the Crying Child and Michael Afton are not the same person, and I went, no, fuck you, that doesn't make any sense,
It does though, like, because he goes back. So but yeah, so it's definitely, he's got a lot more. One sec.
No, I always thought that because, and this is coming from a person who has not necessarily read like all the books and everything, is I always thought that it was a little bit more like pleasing in a story sense that the Crying Child is the one that ends up dying because of the bite, but then is the one that comes, like, that William brings back as a robot, because that was the son he actually cared about. Yeah. And then like that's the son that goes through all the, like, basically he, like, that is Michael Afton. It's just, I think it would be a little bit, a little bit more pleasing story-wise. But hey, that's okay. Still good shit.
And that's just the theory.
That's just a theory.
Okay, theory.
All right. Anywho.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. Weird.
Oh, welcome back. Welcome back, Quack.
But anyway.
Yeah.
Okay.
I love how this is one of those nights where we have like.
What were you saying about the Crying Child?
So what I always thought would be a more interesting story is like if the Crying Child and Mike were like if it was the same character, but there was still like an older brother character. So if you had Michael, being the young boy who's clearly the favorite child, gets chomped, ends up dying.
Mm-hmm.
William puts his what is it? It's not essence. Remnant.
Yeah.
Puts his remnant into a body, but also takes out that rage of losing his favorite son on the son that he hated. And so the older brother becomes Foxy. And then you have the younger brother who kind of grows up not knowing that he's a robot until you get to the point in Sister Location where he gets scooped and then is like, oh shit, I can't die. And then proceeds to go after his dad in all the other games. Because he's trying to find out what happened to his brother. So I'm sure that like there's definitely like some crossover in what I just talked about versus like the actual timeline.
Right. So,
but yeah.
So like the Mike and the crying child are two different people.
Yeah.
The crying child obviously being the first death
right
in William Afton's family.
Yeah.
To have started his whole path down the darker side.
Yeah.
And Mike, of course, is the one that we play through FNAF.
Yep.
1 through 6, technically.
Yeah. Other than in 2, because it's Jeremy.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's
actually,
early.
His theory is that Jeremy's the same guy. So
it's just a different name.
Yes, because when Mike was rotting and stuff, he would, because if you notice, Jeremy got dismissed for smell and
that's right.
So
that's right.
But yeah, so I shared the timeline playlist. There's
Yay!
But like, it's really good. I honestly, I've actually listened to it several times at work.
I might listen to that to fall asleep to tonight because it's always this time of year that I get into my FNAF phase again, and I'm like, it just lines up perfectly with the movie coming out. I'm like, yeah, good shit.
Mm-hmm. Also, I think Scott just released a new book as well.
Oh, really?
I saw this on TikTok. I think because there's like that confirms what's happening in FNAF 4. I think that's all the kid in the hallways and they're running around.
Yeah, that's the nightmare game. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so of course, don't take my word for it. I'm just a little guy. But apparently Scott confirms that in the book it's a child named Rory or something that starts with an R. And it's basically in the same location of Sister Location. Is he's running experiments, like nightmare toxin experiments.
Yes.
So this kid is like a bit in Afton's like testing chambers.
Yeah. Actually, years ago they kind of confirmed that, and I remember this because there was a whole huge thing that came out where like the layout of the house in the 4th game matches up with like the layout of Sister Location, that it could potentially be like, basically it's Afton's secret bunker was the whole thing. I'm like, yeah.
And it is him speaking through Golden Freddy or the little plush.
Yes. And actually MatPat in his theory talks about all that, and I think his theory timeline was put together just because he does mention in there that Scott was coming out with a new book or just releasing one.
Okay. Yeah. Because I remember that being a whole thing, and one of the things from the books that I thought was really interesting is supposedly Afton had these little discs that were planted in different areas throughout that house that emitted signals that would give the kid nightmares.
He was learning that he could change someone's perception just with sound.
Yeah.
And that's how he took smooth animatronics and made them look nightmarish. Basically.
Yes. I love how tonight has turned into FNAF deep dive night. Like we're not even like doing movie spoilers and shit. It's just FNAF deep dive night.
To talk about.
Oh, absolutely. Honestly. And I'd have to go back. Also, I want to say Courtney's here. Hi, Courtney.
Hi.
How does it feel to walk in on a conversation where you have no idea what's happening?
I'm just existing.
I'd have to go back and look at, because all of my canon, like all my headcanon stuff for Colton is on my old blog. Like I switched him over to my multi because I just want everybody in the same place. But I left that other blog up because, for one, the desktop theme is beautiful. I will pat myself on the back.
Hell yeah, you should.
I still even have a little music player on there that does work. That if you go to it on like an actual computer, the FNAF ambience, like the ambient sounds from the first game, play in the background, and the fan whirring and everything. So like the background of the theme is like The Office, and then I have the ambient, and then I have the ambient music going. So it's wonderful. But yeah, I've left that up because I was like, well, I put a lot of work into this, and there's still a lot here. So, but all my headcanon stuff is on there, and it was kind of a trip the last time I looked at it, because I've had that blog since 2015 when the 4th game came out, and between all the other games coming, like trying to be a FNAF like writer when there's so much coming out that changes the canon, or it's like it's really, really hard. So so it's just like all of a sudden, like, I'd have to completely retcon something or figure out a way to like work stuff in. And so like watching the headcanons and stuff evolve from the years that I was writing him is very, very fun. Definitely a neat little experience. But yeah, it's such a fun universe, and I know that some people don't think that, because like it is kind of a little corny and weird, and I know some people are very much against the trope of like, oh, this was a thing that you loved as a kid, let me make it horrifying. Like that's such a...
And FNAF started that.
I mean, did it though?
It pretty much did. It was like vaguely a thing.
I mean,
but then FNAF, like if you look at Poppy Playtime, that is 100% inspired by FNAF.
No, absolutely. But I'm even thinking about like, I mean, think about like Gremlins.
Like taking childhood things like and making them horrifying. I mean, okay, so did FNAF come before Furbies? Because I'm pretty sure that was like early on. Like,
that's what I was thinking about. Was the like referencing Gremlins is that has to be like a Furby. Like, oh, these Furby things are so cute. Like it's this thing in your house, this little pet in your house that you feed and take care of. And but oh my god, it's creepy as shit, and it wants to kill you if something happens to it. Yeah, but oh god, when did Tattletale come out? Tattletale came out after FNAF.
Yeah, after FNAF 2 or 3. You have to remember,
God, I love
FNAF
that game.
2 and 3 came like within the same year.
Yes, that was wild. That was wild.
Because it's like he had the coding down. It's just images. It's not like it's like it's still work, but compare like 3 was when he's like, maybe I should actually like animate something.
Right, because the only animations in most of the games were the jump scares.
Foxy running.
Yes,
and that was that. I don't think. I mean, so I think he was mostly a 3D modeler.
Yeah,
I don't think Scott was really used to like the full-on animation. It's like when it's an animatronic, it's very easy to animate robot.
Yeah,
so
you don't have to worry about fluidity. You just
he just had that Foxy Rick flailing like,
and I love that. I love that so much.
And I don't even know, me speaking from a 3D animator sense.
Yeah.
I have a feeling he didn't actually, of course, anyone can correct me if I'm wrong.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if he actually rigged any of those models. And for people who don't know what rigged means, it means like adding a skeleton where you can add controls, and that's how you make the model move. But when you have robot, you do not need to rig. You can simply take with your clicker, you take the head and you can shake it around, and that's all you got to do. Like you don't, and then you can set, like as you would with like video editing and all that, you set keys so it automatically animates it.
Mm-hmm.
So like I don't think he actually rigged them. In my opinion, I don't think he rigged anything probably till 3,
which would make sense. Springtrap was
no reason.
Springtrap was a little smooth in those jump scares.
A little smooth.
Like the one that I think about is like I think the one where he comes in through the door that like you turn your head away and he's like kind of shimmies up to the camera. Mm-hmm. Like there's that like almost a curve to it. And I remember that being so weird for everybody because they're like, oh my god, it's not just popping up in your face and like waving its hands around.
Well, it's also interesting too because that's a guy in that suit. That's not an animatronic. So it's like that's what makes it creepy. That's why everyone was like, oh, it's not robotic. It's like, no, because it's not a robot.
Because that's a man. That's a whole ass man.
That's a little man in there. A little man with a lot of issues, and damn does he love stabbing children. I don't think it's ever fully explained why he just loves killing them kids.
So that's also a bit of Matt's theory. So like he talks about how like so after the crying child died. And so already Afton has bitterness towards Henry. For create the
because he would have created the ones that killed his kid.
Yes. Yeah. And also, that's why he blames Henry because it was the mechanical part that failed.
Right.
When his child died, and so also he's got this bitterness. Like Henry he's the one who saved my business from failing. Like he's the one who like made those mediocre melodies. Like and took taking my business away from me. And then he sees Charlie. He goes in Madhouse Theory. He goes to the pizzeria to go confront Henry while he's after he's been drinking, and he sees Charlie locked out. And he decides, it's time for Henry to hurt. Like so, and that's where it starts, where he just kills it, and then he likes how it felt.
Because that's the one that occurs not in the suit, if I remember.
Yes.
Yeah. That's before he got the idea to use the suit.
Right, and he just leaves her there. He doesn't put her in any of the animatronics, and that's the puppet.
Which, because then it was a security puppet, and the puppet crawls outside, and I remember that. I remember that being really goddamn sad.
The marionette,
yeah. I cannot wait. Like, I do kind of have it on I think I had it on my list of like the puppet making an appearance somewhere. And I'm even talking about like if it's in a drawing, if somebody mentions it, like it's just if that kind of thing pops up, like it'd be just interesting for somebody to be like, oh yeah, we used to have this security puppet, even something like that. But when they actually, and this is the one that I don't think they're going to actually be able to do with a physical animatronic because it is so goddamn weird. It doesn't make any sense. There's no, if you look at the thing, there's no joints in it. It's very noodly. So like how it's other than maybe like having it in like if they had one that was in a box, like I'm just not sure how you'd be able to make that thing physical and have it move. But also Henson Studios, so
I mean, that's true. They could probably figure out a way.
Yeah, but that is going to be like between that and potentially like a rotted out Springtrap, if that's something we ever get,
that would be amazing.
Is going to be like, that's when people are going to go, oh, this shit's scary.
Exactly.
This is not spoilery.
Okay.
There is pretty much zero use of CGI. They like barely any use of CGI.
That makes me so happy.
Mm-hmm.
That makes me really happy.
I think they're really trying to sell it on practical effects. And oh my god, I'm like, if you sucker me into just talking to hours on end about practical effects,
me too.
I will not shut up about them.
I know.
And I'm very much, we need practical effects back for horror, at least, because give something for the actor to respond to.
Bingo.
And in this movie, the actors, they're responding to these things being literally in front of them. So it's like very refreshing, super nice. It is adorable. Like when you see the shadow, and it's not just some CGI plate. It is they use the actual like puppets and animatronics to make those shadows. And I'm like, this is and then it's very cute because there's obvious like scene cuts where it's like, oh, this animatronic is in a position, but now it's in a different position,
right?
Because we had to do a quick cutaway, to switch this out. And it's so like, you know, you don't have to be a fan of FNAF or whatever, but if someone is a fan of practical effects, they're gonna love the movie because they're just like, oh my god, we are so back.
See, and I think that there can absolutely be like a marriage of practical effects and CGI. I mean, you know, even thinking about like, I'm trying to think of a movie that did that really, really well, and I don't know if Roger Rabbit counts or not because technically it's practical effects and 2D animation.
Right.
So like I don't know if that one necessarily counts, but maybe.
I mean, I think it could count, and like that's one of those movies too that like even for its time, like it was just such a beautiful marriage of like cartoon and realism, and it still
holds up, and it still holds up.
And it's something we will never get again because Warner Brothers and Disney won't work together ever.
Oh yeah, but even I don't know if you guys, and here's where we're gonna branch off from the FNAF talk for tonight. Although I'm sure we're gonna circle back because why wouldn't we?
Have you met us?
But have you guys seen the Chip and Dale's Rescue Rangers movie that's on Disney Plus?
I did.
I have not.
Okay, so
I quote the "What are you cops?" all the time.
I have a love-hate relationship with that film. On the one hand, I think it is one of the worst things that I have ever seen. On the other hand, I think it is one of the best things that I've ever seen.
I love to hate.
It is ridiculous, but it absolutely knew that it couldn't take itself too seriously. I think my major, like, the story's not that great, and I definitely, like, you can very much tell that it's not 2D animation, even though some of the characters are supposed to be, which to me really ruined it. But the major thing that takes me out of the film is actually, surprisingly, John Mulaney and Andy Samberg as voice actors. They did not fit at all.
No.
At all. That's the worst part of the film for me is them voice acting specifically because they're the chipmunks. But if you can get past it enough to actually watch it, they did fully intend for it to be a spiritual successor to Who Framed Roger Rabbit. And in that sense, some of the gags are really fucking funny. The Uncanny Valley scene will get me every time. I think I've watched that movie twice. And the Uncanny Valley is so funny. Because literally, like, I don't think... Do we care about spoilers for Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers?
No.
Okay.
No.
So there's literally a scene where the boys have to go to the other side of the tracks. Like, and they make a big deal about, like, all right, like, once we cross these train tracks, like, shit gets weird. And they cross into the Uncanny Valley. And one of the chipmunks is like, yeah, stuff like the Polar Express that makes people feel uncomfortable. and,
Yep.
and it is so that is so great. And that's how every character in there is animated. But the scene that you're quoting, Lurie, the "What are you, cops?"
They got any stinky cheese?
Yeah, they go to a puppet who was voiced by Keegan-Michael Key, and he's he's a Italian chef, or it's Italian. He's
Italian.
He's like, we got the Gouda, we got the Brie, this kind of thing, and and so they're like, you got any cheese? You got any stinky cheese?
Stinky cheese.
And his eyebrows lower, and he goes, "What are you, cops?"
It's dead silence. The whole movie is just people talking, and that is the only part in the film that there's dead silence, and he's staring at them for an uncomfortable amount of time. The brows lower. And what are you, cops?
And the change,
oh my God.
And the change in his voice from the really stereotypically horrible Italian accent to the "What are you, cops?"
I need to find it on YouTube right now.
It is so funny. I also liked the idea, and whoever came up with this deserves a raise. Whoever decided that tunes could have what do they call it? It's some kind of 3D surgery where they permanently go from being a 2D animated character to a 3D animated character. That's like a cosmetic surgery that they can have done. That good.
That was so
good
funny.
Content.
I found it.
Yeah, cheesemonger. Yeah. So the film as a whole is really I'd say it's pretty average. I had fun with it because I wasn't trying to take it too seriously. Because even though it's a spiritual successor to Roger Rabbit, I was like, okay, but it's not a sequel. You know, it's just a dumb movie that whoever was working on it probably had fun writing it. But
Writer's Room had a great time.
I really hope they did. I really hope they did. But one of the other plot points in it is that there are these bootleg movies being made. And they find out at the end of the film that there's a machine that certain characters have been kidnapped and fed into this machine that changes them into bootleg cartoon characters, so the villain can make bank off of Disney's ideas. And
he ships them overseas to Italy, I think.
Yeah,
because Italy is kind of where all the bootleg shit comes from.
Yeah. So it was kind of funny to see Disney poke fun at the fact that they know that there's all these companies out there making those shitty bootleg movies. I would have really liked a reference to Ratatouille. We don't get one, but it would have been funny. God. No, but that's almost I kind of want to start coming up with a list of movies that we should watch together, in the group chat. Mm-hmm. And I don't
absolutely.
I don't know if that's something I know Saberspark has movie nights on Twitch. I don't know if that's something that we can do or not. Just because I don't really want to get a copyright strike.
And travel.
Yeah.
So you can do anything on Amazon Prime or Netflix you can get away with.
Okay.
I've done it before, and I'm in a spooky server where we have horror movie nights, and that's where they get them from.
Yeah. But I'll definitely I'll look into a way that we can have movie nights on the server, because I know there's a couple different if Discord won't actually broadcast it, then I know there's a couple workarounds that I can do.
Also, Asflix.
Yes, and Asflix. Yeah,
that's right. When last night for Halloween, me and my crew, we streamed the original Alien.
Yeah,
and I used Netflix for that.
So, if you ever try to stream Netflix or Amazon through Discord and people just see a black screen, that means you have a privacy thing on your computer you have to turn off.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
And I only know that because I went through the same problem because I used to use not stream. God, I forget what it was called. It wasn't Join Me, but it was something else.
There's one that's like Watch Party. It was called Netflix Watch Party. Now it's something else because they don't use Netflix in there anymore. But I actually like I want to like I do want to see the FNAF movie in theaters. Like that's a major that's one of those that's just like No Way Home where I'm like I have to see this in theaters. You know, I need to see this in theaters. But also
that's what me and my sister did.
But also I think it would be fantastic if we had like a movie night in the group chat for anybody that wanted to and we watched the FNAF movie.
Oh,
I think that would be a blast. And we can pick a weekday, like a weekend to do that.
Yeah.
Just because like I know Wednesdays are not the ideal time for quite a few, but the only reason we do Wednesdays for Star Stable is because a lot of nights, I mean it's update day, but a lot of Saturday nights during the summer I'm not here. So it's like unless one of you guys wants to host on your own Twitch, we're not here.
Yeah. I actually, funny you should say that because I did see it in theaters, but right after I saw it, a friend of mine was like, "Hey, I'm in this Discord server, and they gave out a bootleg copy of FNAF."
Oh my god!
So I have it.
Nice.
I was like, okay.
I just know that no matter how good it is, it's gonna be one of those films that I just end up buying because I'm like, I'm gonna have to watch this over and over again.
Like I said, it's a novelty and like it's history. You know?
It is, yeah. And this I don't think is really spoilery, but this is another thing that I happened to find out, and it really and I'm hoping this is true. This is something that I saw on Instagram, so like obviously somebody could have edited the audio, but is it true that they used the Living Tombstone song for the end credits?
Yes.
That is phenomenal. Oh my god.
They got reached out to back in 2018 to get the copyright for it. Yeah.
Holy shit.
They also have so many YouTube people in there, like cameos.
Okay, that's on my list. That's on my checklist of I suppose I could, because I didn't send it in this group chat. I suppose I could read it so that Ashley knows what I'm talking about.
We have to say nothing.
Yeah, you can't say anything.
My lips are,
you can't
my lips are sealed.
You can't say anything. But no, I still have my.
Moved back to FNAF.
I still have my No Way Home one too. It was a lot. It was a lot longer. But okay, all right. Here's my FNAF predictions. I'm going in completely blind. 8-bit imagery, potentially over the credits. The Springtrap and Golden Bonnie suit, which I mean, some of the trailers have shown at this point. So, a Springlock failure, specifically with that suit. Afton being boarded up in the walls or left at the abandoned pizzeria. The "I always come back" quote. The "I'm going to come find you" quote. Mike as the protagonist has lost someone close to him at the pizzeria. The animatronics behave like kids because they are kids. And I mean that in the sense of like, kind of, you guys know like the Ninja Turtles movie, like the new one that came out, where they like for once they actually act like kids, you know, like being annoying to each other or that kind of thing, or like mannerisms of like current like this age potentially kids. You know, I think that could be a really interesting dynamic because those first couple games, there's no personalities. Like the fans came up with personalities, so I'm kind of hoping they do something with that. You gotta have at least one jump scare, because it's FNAF. Like, I know they don't bank on it from what the reviews say, but you gotta have at least one. A YouTuber cameo. My top ones are Matt, Pat, and Dako. Because obviously Mark was working on Iron Long. So, like, we know Mark's not in it. I'd like to see, like, Foxy running down the hallway. Chica devouring a pizza. Golden Freddy would be interesting to see. Even if it's like a hallucination type thing, like we get in the first game. The marionette. Somebody has to mention the bite. I don't know if I would go as far to say as like the bite of 87, but even yeah.
Anytime people say that, all I can hear is Mark's voice.
Yeah, I know. I know. Was it the bite of 87? The phone guy tapes, or phone guy in some in some sense. Ideally, it would be cool in my opinion if they did have that be Scott still, because it is his voice in the original games. So that'd be cool. You have to have the hello. Like somebody's got to say it, whether it's phone guy or not. I think the blonde cop lady is Vanessa, which, if it is, that's a little funky because she is a security breach character. But to me, it looks too much like Vanessa to not be Vanessa. A montage of all of the previous security guard deaths would be hilarious. I kind of want to see that because I think it would be really funny. Ideally, if what is like Lillard's character is like Steve Raglan or something, and he's a counselor, like he's a career counselor or something.
Like one of those job placement companies.
Yeah, okay. So it would be kind of funny, in my opinion, if you had a thing where he's talking to Mike about this job, and he's like as he's talking, he's talking over a montage of like, okay, yeah, this guy got stuffed into a suit, this guy got attacked by Foxy, this guy, like that kind of thing. I think that'd be really funny. You gotta have at least one of the death screams. I know like the Freddy, Bonnie, and Chica all have the same one, but Foxy's is different. So like one of those where like when they jump scare you, like you actually hear the scream. The Troubadour March, the dun 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 playing at some point. I'm adding this in here, but I'm gonna say it now is the power has to go out at some point. Mm-hmm. That's a big thing in the game, is the power going out. I'd like to see an endoskeleton somewhere. I think that'd be kind of cool. Because it's a Blumhouse movie, I feel like there needs to be some highly forced exposition, i.e. somebody talking to the main characters and going, "Oh, you work at Freddy Fazbear's? That place is bad news. Let me tell you in great detail why." I want the cupcake to be the most violent animatronic. And I would like a Scream reference because Matthew Lillard's in it. It looks like we're potentially going to get one because there's one of the scenes in the trailer that he has like the big butcher knife. Mm-hmm. And that seems to be a Scream reference, but I want to see if there's like maybe another one. But yeah, so that's my list. And I mean, like I said, my No Way Home one was way longer. But it'll still be interesting to see.
That had more banking on it, kind of.
It kind of did. It was really... I'm like looking at it right now, and it's really ridiculous.
So I gotta say, one thing, obviously, it would have been awesome if Mark could have been in the movie.
Yeah.
And just as I know, Emma, I know you haven't seen it yet, and this doesn't spoil anything.
Okay.
Mark should have been the taxi driver.
God.
I think the cameo that he was supposed to have, from what I have heard, is and I know that in the trailers they do show some flashbacks of like security guards getting killed. So like I know that's a thing. I just want like a weird montage of it. Like they do so many of them in a row with like music or whatever, because I think that'd be funny. But I've heard some people say that the cameo that he was supposed to have was the first security guard to get killed.
Oh, that would have been awesome.
Yeah, that's what he was supposed to be.
Yeah, so if that's what he was supposed to be, but I kind of wonder if like, because Scott did say that he was going to find something for him to do in the next one, is
I
like
hope so.
maybe that's some kind of blessing in disguise, because
I think it is.
because you know, now as opposed to potentially not being shoehorned in, but like potentially having just like a little tiny part, like maybe we'll get something a little more.
I will say, like, because Scott wrote the film.
Yeah.
Like he very like with the cameos that are in there, he purposely had them with those cameos in mind.
Aw, that's nice.
So it's very, very sweet.
That's great.
Yeah. So but you know what I'm kind of hoping for? Mark has like, well, we already know Mark can act.
Yes.
But I'm hoping with Iron Lung.
Yeah.
That they if like there's for Mark to show that he's in a feature film and not like in a very serious feature film that we're at stake. It's a drama. His life is on the line. His main character's life is on the line.
Yeah.
His freedom's on the line. He's not going to be playing the goofy Mark persona that's in like A Date with Markiplier, in Space with Markiplier.
Right.
Like this is going to be him actually like playing a serious role. And I am hoping that, you know, that Scott will see that, or like others will see that, and maybe he'll have a bigger role in the next film.
That's what I'm hoping for. Yeah.
Yeah. Because even though like I'm not giving it away, like the beginning like security scene, it's fun. It's a fun time. And me, when I went to go see it, like picturing Mark playing that character,
like it was so good.
I can see Mark doing this role. The actor that did it, just some random dude, he did perfectly fine.
But you could tell that it was written for Mark, kind of a thing.
Not really. Like not really. It could have been anyone, but I think I think Mark could have upped the factor.
Yeah. That's what I was about to say. His goofy
Yeah.
But by the way, segue for a second.
Please.
The Iron Lung trailer.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I like how it gives nothing away.
Exactly.
I love that Mark is like that, where he's like, the trailer shouldn't give anything away. I love that.
Yep.
Perfect.
Speaking of that, because I'm sure do you guys listen to Distractable? I thought you did.
No, I listened to Brain Leak.
Okay, so I love Brain Leak.
I stopped listening when they started doing the visual ones.
Oh, okay.
Spotify,
yeah.
Because in the first couple, Mark kept moving his mouth away from the mic, and I couldn't hear him. I had my volume all the way up to 40 in my car. Yeah. I could hear him sometimes. So when they were doing the card thing, I could hear him half the time, and I'm like, Mark, you do this for a living. You know that. Your mouth near the mic.
I think they fixed that, because like I haven't been, and now they do it a couple times a week. But they've definitely fixed the audio thing, because I have listened to like a couple more recent ones. They did like 3 or 4 Halloween ones this time, and those are really fun. But one of the things that they talked about months ago was Mark said something about, I actually had to go to the hospital because I got fake blood in my eye. Yeah. And Bob and Wade are like, how did you get fake blood in your eye? And he's like, well, I'm not kidding when I say that I think we have the most fake blood that I've ever seen, like that's ever been used in a movie ever. Yeah. And I kind of like, in the back of my mind, I was waiting for this Iron Lung trailer, because I'm like, what if they show the fake blood thing? Like, what if we figure out, like, what if the lore gets pieced together? And then you see the Iron Lung trailer, and you kind of go, oh, so that's why.
Yeah, you're like, oh, yeah.
Like, Mark, that would make sense.
Because I think in the like, have you guys have seen his original gameplay, right, of Iron Lung?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Or just gameplay of Iron Lung.
Yeah.
I think it's like I think the water is meant to be blood.
Yes.
I think that's what it's heavily hinting at. So that's why
absolutely.
there's so much of it.
Right. Because
like why did he choose? Like for me, I'm like looking back. I'm like when he's playing Iron Lung.
Yeah.
I'm like he's not showing. Like he probably was more enthusiastic.
Right. So it's like, why did you pick that?
Why did you? I want to know.
Yeah.
I'm sure once the movie is released and he can say more, and maybe the creator of the game developer can also talk.
Right.
Like I'm like, why would you? Out of all the indie horror games you chose, why Iron Lung? And I could kind of guess that it's because it's not like any other horror game.
Right.
Right.
It is its very own thing.
Right, and it's so obscure, really. And what the lore is with it. So I really think Mark wanted to pick the creator's brain and be like, look, we should totally like make this into a bigger thing. Like,
right. I think too, because like between the stuff that we've seen in like Heist and Space, that it would be like we know that Mark like loves space, which Iron Lung is set on a different planet, but is also terrified of like the ocean and shit. Yeah. So having that weird marriage of like, okay, alien planet, but in a very, very claustrophobic situation. And it kind of like, that's something really, really cool to play with. But also, I just wonder, because the whole game takes place in one room, how?
Right.
What are we gonna see?
Right. It'll be that's my thing with it. I'm like, it'll be interesting with how creative Mark is, and like also working with the creator of the game. I really am so curious to see what they come up with as far as how can we take this and stretch it into like an hour and a half, 2 hour long movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
I really like. I'm sure they're gonna like the original game is banking. It is that entire game is so well made the way that it is because it is the whole game is just building tension. There's no jump scares until the final thing in the game, and it gets you. Because I love that, during the game, a giant eye is looking back at you.
Yeah.
You're like, oh my god, something is huge out here, and I can't see it. But the thing is, you notice several times that there's a medium, like a big fish, but it's not as big as that eyeball. But it's following you. It's stalking you the entire game. Yeah. But you don't really care or pay attention because you're just like, hey, that's like a little fish. That's the thing that kills you at the end because it gets you.
Right.
But I'm like, I really hope that and like well, please, for the love of God, let the fish monsters, whatever, the fish in that game be decent CGI.
Oh, I know.
That will take me out of it if it's piss poor CGI. I know Mark would never let it be piss poor.
Right.
But I just want however long, probably usually all films are about the 2 hour mark now. Yeah. I want that to just be building the suspense, and I kind of want Mark's character to die at the end. Usually, it is really bad for like when they do they usually do public like having I forget what the technical term, but like having viewers watch it and then they give feedback to early testings and everything. They this is that's the reason why Little Shop of Horrors the film cut out the original ending.
Yeah, the original ending was really bleak.
It's better. I love that ending. I'm like,
because the plant takes over the world.
Yeah, and that's awesome. And I'm just weird like that. I'm like, that's awesome, actually. But then the public is like, oh no, but I was rooting for the main character the whole time. I'm like, but you know what? A tragedy. I love my classic tragedies where everything is bleak. Right. There's a reason that it's bleak, and I want it to build that whole tension up to the final part of the film where Mark's character eats it.
See, and
Well, like also with the trailer and the quote from the game, it's made very clear that this is an execution. Like he will die at the end of it. But the only difference is he's choosing when.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Sense of freedom. And also going back to why Mark chose this game, like you said, Emma, the marriage between space and his fear of the ocean.
Yeah.
And I think he really wanted his first full-length film to be a serious thing, and he can use his phobia of the ocean to play on with this character.
Yeah.
And like really help the dread come through.
Yeah. Kind of circling back to like what we were talking about the FNAF franchise, and like if we were trying to get to 3 films, and I know like, okay, so Sister Location, or not Pizzeria Sim. I always for some reason, like I know they're 2 completely separate games. My brain likes to mush them together. It's exactly like what you guys are talking about in like my ideal ending, or like the way that Scott ended that 6th game is everybody dies.
Yep.
Everybody dies. Like, but when you're actually like playing that 6th game, that's a happy moment. Like you're very like it's finally over. It's these souls are at peace. Everybody from William is gone until fucking Security Breach.
Well, until actually it's all Cassidy's fault.
Yeah.
Cassidy's spirit.
Right, she hung on to him. Yeah.
Yes, and then William was like, "I'm going in the circuit board."
Yeah. So like, yeah, but you get that like that kind of like cathartic moment of that ending to me is like a sigh of relief. Yes. You get like, especially when you have Henry talking over it. The first time I ever watched that, and like heard that speech, like that legitimately made me cry.
Yes,
it's a very like it's very touching, but he's also exceptionally tired, and you can tell. Yeah. And so the whole thing just feels like like we're done. It's over. Like finally it's over. So ideally that would be the way to end this particular trilogy. But there's also like, because as much as that's the ideal ending, like these pre-screenings, people don't want to see the person that they were rooting for bite it at the end. So, you could, and this is something that I have written into Colton as well, is like, depending on his attachments, like people he's attached to, or that kind of thing, is he, that character that's trapped in the pizzeria, the Michael Afton character, deciding that I think I want to get out. Like I think I have more to live for than just this. And being the only one that escapes. That could also be a good ending. But the original one where all those original characters die feels like the best way to me to tackle that. But we don't know. We don't know what's going to happen there. What I really do think would be fun, and obviously this is not going to be, if this trilogy goes over really well, I honestly would like to see a Security Breach trilogy.
Yes.
Like, just because
Matthew could come back.
Yeah. Just because
he always comes back.
Personally, I know a lot of people hated Security Breach, and I know it's like it's glitchy and the story's a little weird, and like then the DLC gets added, and it's like, okay, now we have confusing. Now it's more confusing. I think the aesthetics of that game are so goddamn good. And I want to see Henson Studios go from the fuzzy, clunky animatronics to glam rock Freddy. Because I'm sure you guys have seen cosplays and stuff that these cosplays of glam rock Freddy are incredible. So what could Henson Studios do? And that has me really excited. Yeah.
The people who have made the glam rock are just stunning.
Yes. So like, I want to see that.
And by the way, also side note. So again, in MatPat's timeline, he covers like, you know, the reason for security breach and like, you know, what's going on there. And also, I wanted to note too that like anything he says, he'll actually at the bottom of the screen in the video, he puts his source that he's citing it from, like where he's playing it.
What a good man.
Right?
Damn. This guy out here making essays on the internet and citing his sources.
Like, literally, he said at the beginning of the video, he's like, I feel like a kid about ready to turn in his like project. And he's
I love that.
This was over 10 years of my life.
God. Oh my God. I love that so much. God. Well, on that note, I am hungry, so I have to go and get some food. I think we're going to end stream here.
Bye-bye.
We'll be back next Wednesday. Yeah, we'll be back next Wednesday. With the Dutch Warmbloods.
And then the week after is Hollow Woods.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys read up on that death blog.
I did. So we're going to have a lot to talk about. I like that they're giving us just the Hollow Woods and like no gameplay with it, because I have a feeling that that Wednesday is going to be a really good night for like, let's go explore. Maybe let's do a game of hide and seek to like figure out the area. So I think that would be really, really fun to do. And it'd be nice to like not have any like quests that we feel like we have to do. Like, let's just go explore. So I think that's going to be the plan. Yeah. I don't personally think I'm going to get a Dutch Warmblood. But I'm excited. I'm excited to see everybody that does go get theirs.
And also I am really, happy to like going over the game blog and stuff. I like that they're going to give us different paths, like as a druid that you can take.
Yeah.
Or you can do all three. Like, I'm super happy for that.
Yeah. Stuff in the game that we can actually like do.
Yes, and also like earn for ourselves and not have to spend star coins. We just have to grind.
Yep.
And it's gonna be so cool, and I can't wait to hear the soundtrack. Most of all, like the last soundtrack that really got to me was when the Winter Village got updated, and they had the Valedale hymn.
Yep.
Release. That is my favorite. I will have that on repeat for
Same.
hours.
I have that on my Spotify. It's so good.
And like, I am super excited to hear the new music and have that on repeat forever.
Yes. All right, guys. So we're gonna end stream here. We'll see you next week. Bye.